Katheryn Howard, a young queen who bloomed briefly and faded too soon. Caught in the intricate tapestry of Tudor England, her story is one of innocence, ambition, and ultimately, profound tragedy. Let us gently uncover the layers of her existence, listening to the soft echoes of history. We will trace her path from a hopeful beginning to a sorrowful end. Katheryn Howard was born sometime between 1523 and 1525, the precise date remaining a whisper in time. She was a daughter of Lord Edmund Howard, a younger son of the powerful Thomas Howard, 2nd Duke of Norfolk. This made her a first cousin to Anne Boleyn, Henry VIII's second queen. Her early years were spent primarily in the household of her step-grandmother, Agnes Howard, the Dowager Duchess of Norfolk. This environment, while grand, was reportedly less structured than one might expect for a noblewoman. Katheryn arrived at the royal court around 1539, serving as a lady-in-waiting to Anne of Cleves, Henry VIII's fourth queen. Her youthful charm and vivacious spirit quickly caught the king's eye. Henry, by this time, was growing weary of his marriage to Anne of Cleves. He found Katheryn's youthful energy and beauty a refreshing contrast. Their relationship developed swiftly, fueled by the king's desire for a new beginning. The annulment of Henry's marriage to Anne of Cleves was declared on July 9, 1540. Just 19 days later, on July 28, 1540, Katheryn Howard became Queen of England. She was likely no older than 18 at the time, a remarkably young age to ascend to such a powerful position. Her coronation was never held, perhaps due to the king's financial constraints or the swiftness of their union. She was simply presented as queen, a new rose in the Tudor garden. Katheryn's time as queen was marked by lavish entertainments and a renewed sense of joy at court. Henry, despite his increasing age and infirmity, seemed rejuvenated by her presence. She was given many jewels and fine clothes, living a life of luxury. However, the pressures of court life and the king's expectations were immense. Her past, which had been largely unsupervised, began to cast a long shadow. In the autumn of 1541, disturbing allegations about Katheryn's premarital conduct began to surface. Archbishop Thomas Cranmer, a key figure in the Reformation, brought these accusations to the king's attention. The initial claims involved Francis Derham and Henry Manox, men with whom she had been intimate before her marriage. These revelations deeply distressed the king, who had believed his young queen to be pure. The investigation quickly escalated, uncovering more complex layers. As the inquiry continued, new and more serious allegations emerged. It was claimed that Katheryn had engaged in an affair with Thomas Culper, a gentleman of the king's privy chamber, after her marriage to Henry. This was an act of treason. On November 7, 1541, Katheryn was effectively placed under house arrest at Hampton Court. Her ladies were dismissed, and her jewels were confiscated. The dream of being queen was rapidly dissolving. On November 12, 1541, Katheryn was stripped of her title as queen. She was then moved to Sion Abbey, a former monastery, where she remained under guard. The evidence against her, including letters exchanged with Culper, were damning. Lady Rochford, also known as Jane Boleyn, was arrested for encouraging and facilitating the affair between Katheryn and Culper. On January 21, 1542, Katheryn and Lady Rochford was moved to the Tower of London, the ominous final destination for many accused of treason. An Act of Attainder was passed by Parliament, condemning both without a formal trial. On the night before her execution, it was reported that Katheryn was so terrified that she requested the block be brought to her so that she might practice how to place her head. Her request was granted, and the block brought to her cell. Lady Rochford was reported to have went mad in the tower while awaiting her own execution. On February 13, 1542, Katheryn Howard walked to the scaffold on Tower Hill. She was executed alongside Lady Rochford. Although filled with fear, Katheryn faced her end with a quiet dignity, reportedly confessing her past indiscretions but denying treason against the king. She was buried in the chapel of St. Peter ad Vincula within the Tower grounds, near her cousin Anne Boleyn. Her life, so full of promise, was extinguished at a tender age, likely not yet 20. One lesser-known aspect of Katheryn's story is the profound impact of her upbringing. Raised in a large, somewhat chaotic household by her step-grandmother, she lacked the strict supervision common for noble girls. This environment, while perhaps offering a degree of freedom, also left her vulnerable to exploitation and poor judgment. Her youth and inexperience were often overlooked in the harsh glare of Tudor politics. She was a pawn in a much larger game, a young woman ill-equipped for the treacherous currents of court life. Katheryn Howard's story remains a poignant reminder of the precariousness of life at the Tudor court. Her brief reign, marked by both joy and scandal, ended in tragedy. She was a young woman, perhaps naive, perhaps reckless, but ultimately a victim of circumstances beyond her control. Her memory lingers as a soft echo, a gentle whisper of a rose that bloomed too quickly and faded too soon in the shadow of a powerful king.